you make one mistake, the whole problem's wrong. So when you go to do these problems, this is problem number 2 from the assignment. When you go to do these problems, if you write them down in your notebooks, in your notes, whether it's a binder or a notebook, you just got to go back and double check your math. Sometimes, I don't know why we try to do math in such a hurry. But if you double check, you're adding and subtracting, multiplication and all that stuff, you'll find that you made a simple math error. It's almost always a negative sign. What I like about what I saw today is that when kids asked me for help, they said, I had it right up until this point. And so they were like, okay, most of the answers up top here were right, and then at the third number or whatever, that's when I kind of lost it. And by the way, when we looked at their work that they wrote in their notebook, they made a simple math error. They multiplied incorrectly, or they had a positive or negative sign. It's just a simple mistake. So again, I'm going to think to myself, what do I multiply what do I multiply b by to get 10b cubed? Well, I'm going to multiply 10b squared by that, right? So remember that 10b squared times b to the first power is equal to 10b to the 2 plus 1, which is actually 10b cubed. So this is 10b cubed. But remember, I have to multiply that by negative 1. Well, anything times negative 1 is just the negative of it, right? So this becomes negative 10b squared. Again, even though it's your homework, I would still write down add the opposites. Why? Because 1, I'm trying to get it in your brain. 2, when you go to take the test, you're going to go, oh, that's just like this problem. And then you could see what you did. Add the opposites means I change the sign of those two terms on the bottom. Very common mistake. Kids will change the first sign, forget to change the second sign. I've seen that about 6 times today. Kids will come up to me and say, Mr. Adams, I don't know where I made my mistake. And they forgot to change this sign. Okay. So anyways, the first 2 terms should cancel out, or add up to 0 is a better way to word it. Now, what's negative 13 plus 10? I can't emphasize this enough. If you're not good with plus or negative numbers, a lot of kids will say, oh, it's 3. Or negative 3. And really, they're not even processing it. They know that it's 3, but they don't really think about, is it positive or negative? Okay? Well, if you don't want to think about it, then just plug it in the calculator. You're going to say negative 13 plus 10. And then at least you'll have the right answer, right? So that's negative 3 what? It's negative 3b squared. Then we drop down this term, which is negative 3b. Okay, again, I'm going to think, what do I multiply b by to get negative 3b squared? And so what you should be thinking in your head is I'm going to take something and multiply it by b, and it has to equal negative 3b squared. Well, I know that negative 3 goes here, and then probably b to the first, right? Does that make sense when you see it that way? Alright, so then I'm going to put negative 3b here. When I multiply that out, it does equal negative 3b squared. And then remember that when you multiply by a negative 1, that just changes the sign of this. So this becomes positive 3b. Now I saw one kid got so excited, he said, well, these cancel, and just cancel them out. What did they forget to do? Add the opposites. So this becomes positive, this becomes negative, and so this is actually negative 6b. Drop down the 11. Again, I need to think to myself, what do I multiply b to the first power by to get negative 6b? Well, how about just negative 6? So I'm going to put my negative 6 up here, multiply it by this. That works. But then what's negative 6 times negative 1? That's positive 6. Again, we add our opposites. This becomes a positive 6b. Those two add up to 0, and then this becomes negative 5. That's our remainder. So remember, this top line is most of our answer. 10b squared minus 3b minus 6. Because this is a negative 5, I put a negative 5 all over what? b minus 1. And that's our answer. Oh, wait a minute, I made a mistake. Did you guys catch my mistake? What's the mistake I made? Yes? Yeah, this is supposed to be a plus 11, right? All right, so we got to go back. How did Mr. Adams catch it? I did what you guys did. I made a simple mistake. I also made a second mistake. Did you guys catch the second mistake? I did the same thing you guys did. What is negative 6 times negative 1? Positive 6. But did I change that to the opposite sign? No, so this should be negative. So then 11 minus 6 is a positive 5, so my remainder should be positive 5, so this should be positive, right? So even if you've got a degree in mathematics, you can make a simple mistake. And by the way, what was it? It was a negative sign. It's always a negative sign. Okay? So what did I do? Well, I did the whole problem, then I looked at the multiple choice stuff. I said, wait a minute, I don't see a negative 5 over b minus 1. And then what did I do? I looked at what I wrote down. And I said, oh, silly me, I made a mistake. Would you guys believe me if I told you I did that mistake on purpose? So you wouldn't feel bad about making mistakes? Or do you think I really made a mistake? It's one of life's greatest mysteries. Okay, so I'm going to post this